You're probably here because you want to open up a residential assisted living facility for the elderly. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Raman. I currently have 3 residential care homes for the elderly, and my goal is just to give you guys as much information to help you start your own journey. I know starting a residential assisted living facility is not easy. I started my journey in 2023, and in 2024 of January, I licensed my first facility. Then we opened up a second home. I just got my third one licensed this month, which is October of 2024. Today, we're gonna talk about the first 3 steps you should take if you wanna open up your own residential assisted living facility. Just a forewarning, I am in California, so a lot of the things I talk about are a little bit centered to California, but most states have very similar regulations. So this should be a guide for anybody who wants to open up a assisted living facility. Let's jump right into it. Step 1, your administrator certification. So what is an administrator certification? When you open up your residential care home, there's 2 pieces. There's a license, and that's house specific. And then there's an administrator. Administrator is a person who's gonna overlook and manage your care home. This could be yourself, or it could be somebody you hired. And I know a lot of people want this hands-off ownership, so you're gonna already assume I should just hire an administrator. But I still advise, if you're gonna have a care home, if you're gonna own one, if you're gonna manage it and be hands-off, you should still get your administrator certification. It's a 80-ish hour course and a 200 question test, about $600, and it's kind of like a class to take to learn about the rules, regulations, and what you need to kind of focus on to own and operate your own residential care home. And look, if something happens, let's say you do hire this administrator and they don't work out and you need to fill in, at least you have your certification and you could jump in. So I really advise the first step anybody should take is get your administrator certification. In some states, they might call it something different and it might be a few different hours, but it's typically a course you take and then a test. You got your admin cert, you learned some of the rules and regulations, and now you're ready for step number 2. The second step is to do your research. There's a couple ways you can go about this. So the first thing you could do, just to get a general idea of what the starting prices are for a care home, for somebody to get care in your area, right? What can you charge per month? One of the easiest, quickest ways to do it, and I call this the dirty way because it's not accurate, but it gives you somewhat of an idea, is you can go to genworth.com/cost of care, and this big old link, I'll put it up here on the screen, but go visit this link, put in your zip code, and it will give you this number of what monthly care is for somebody who's elderly. And that's kind of the starting rate in your area. The reason I say it's the starting rates because rates really do vary. So the second thing I advise on your research is go visit other care homes and look. If you call up a care home owner and you say, hey, I want to come visit the care home because I want to open up my own, they're not going to help you. They're not going to be willing to show you the home. They're running this business, a lot going on, and to be honest, this industry is very closed, so a lot of people won't assist in that way. What I really do advise is to go in there as if you're touring it for your mother, for your grandparent. Give them a call and say, hey, I'm looking for a place for my loved one, would love to come see your home. Do you have any availability? Go tour it, ask questions as if you were going to place your grandma, mom, dad, somebody in the home, and you get this real idea of what their care home looks like, how they treat their residents, and most importantly, what kind of rates they charge. And rates are a very touchy subject. My number one advice is to charge the right rate. What I mean by that, if somebody's charging $3,000 a month and somebody's charging $8,000 a month, don't think that you have to be in the middle. Don't think you have to be in the lower end. Really set your home up to be the nicest home it possibly could be with the best level of care and charge the right rates. When you charge the right rates, you don't cut corners, you have better staff, you have better amenities, you just have an overall better home with better care, and that's the number one thing. So the way I like to compare this is a 2-star hotel versus a 5-star resort. You really want to be that 5-star resort. I love to tell my families when they come in is that, hey, we're not the cheapest option, but we are the best option. I typically have more staff. I have a wake night staff. Most cameras do not have that. And I really care for the residents. We provide better meals. We do a lot more activities. We just do a lot more in the day-to-day than you'll see in other care homes. Most care homes that charge a lower rate, they have less staff and they just get by. They just care for the resident. We care on the medical side, on their needs side, but we also do a lot of stuff for them to have their best life, to live their longest life possible, and just to enjoy day-to-day. You know, most of these residents, this is gonna be the last place they stay. So you really wanna make sure you charge the right price so you never have to worry if you want to get food from outside, if you want to do more activities. That's kind of my spiel on rate side and research. So really do your research, see what others charge, see how they set up their care home. And most importantly, this little exercise of going and seeing other care homes will tell you, is this something you could do? You'll really see what the environment feels like, what people's loved ones, what family members go through and see on the day-to-day when you visit and see other residents. So really see if this is a fit for you. really see what rates you would charge in your area, if it all makes sense with the cost of starting up to this cost of daily operations to the income you can make if this is something you're going to want to do maybe for the rest of your life or at least for a few committed years. All right, on to step number 3, which is the property. I put this one as an early step because the property is going to be the most important thing, right? You really need a good home. You really need to find a property, and you need to figure out if you can fund the startup costs. I will tell you now, this is a very expensive business to get started, but at the same time, it's a very fulfilling business and it's very profitable. And I know it's a touchy subject. I make a bunch of these videos, most of them on TikTok, and a lot of backlash about the rates we charge. But what people don't understand is you really have to charge the right rate, make the right income so you can provide the best care. You're not going to care for a business and give it your all if you yourself are not going to walk away with something to help yourself be better and help your family. So finding a good property is going to be the outcome of what you can charge and the kind of care you will provide. So let's go through it. So what do I look for in a property? A quick checklist is I always look single story. You could do double story. It's not can you have double story? You can, but it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be hard to get fire clearance. It's going to be hard to get licensed. And the most important thing, it's not going to be attractive to your residents. Your residents are elderly. They're here for some kind of care, and they're not going to want to go up to the second story. So when they're looking around at, yourself and other care homes, they're going to pick somebody else who's single story. So go single story. Next is bedrooms. So the biggest thing is, every state's a little different. In California, we get 6 residents to be a residential care home. Once you go past 6, it becomes commercial. It's a lot bigger of a project. So I always recommend starting off with a residential care home, so 6 residents. And now you can have shared rooms or you can have private rooms. And in my experience, having 3 care homes, shared rooms are extremely difficult to fill. Everybody wants a private room. So you want to find as many private rooms as possible. Typically on the high end, you can find a home that has 5 bedrooms max. Maybe you'll find 4 with a lot of square footage. My recommendation is something over 2,000 up to 3,000 square feet. At least 4 to 5 bedrooms. And if you find a 4-bedroom home, or even if you find a 5-bedroom home, you want to see, can you build out some extra space to have more rooms? If you can get to 6 rooms, you're going to be in an ideal situation. But you want your private rooms. Shared rooms will get you less income, but also they will be very hard to fill. Private rooms will always be easy. So go for a 5 to 6-bedroom home. As hard as that sounds, it's totally going to be worth it once you're up and running. The next thing is we want to make sure we're in a good location. Location determines everything. Most of your residents come from a 5 to 10 mile radius. A lot of people like to look at that town right outside of the nice town and see if that's a good idea because the house prices drop to $300,000, and that's kind of how your rates are going to be. They're going to be $2,000 to $3,000 less a month, and you're going to get a different kind of clientele. So really pick an area that's a good location that has an aging population, so there's elderly in that area. And my biggest hack, my biggest secret I like to share with everybody is look for a property that is next to a big box facility. A big box facility is one of those big care homes, the ones that are name brand, have 150, 200 beds. They spend millions of dollars to open, so they spend millions of dollars to do their research. They make sure they're in a prime location. And they're not your competition. So if you're opening in an area that has a big box facility, you're most likely in a good area to have a residential care home. So, little hack, be next to a big box facility. Also, try to be next to a hospital. It will just be something that families will love, knowing that a hospital is within 5 to 10 minutes. Because again, we have elderly residents who are there because of some kind of care. The other thing is kind of the layout. You want to make sure you have wide doors, you have a good sized hallway. A lot of that stuff, a little thing I like to do is get a pre-fire inspection. So not every city does this. Out of my experience, 2 out of 3 did so, but you can get a pre-fire inspection. It's like a $600 inspection, maybe less, but somebody comes to your home, a fire inspector, they walk your home, they see, and they give you kind of a checklist of the things you need to do to pass fire regulations, and that's kind of the big upgrade cosmetic part. So if you get a pre-fire inspection before you close on a home, before you finalize your property, you can really see what you will have to do to make this property work. Besides that, I think being next to other care homes, you don't have to worry about seeing competition. There is a high demand in this area. Not saying residents just walk through your door, but most areas, if you have a great home and you're in an area that has demand, you're gonna fill up as long as you do the due diligence, the marketing, and put yourself out there. And of course, you have a great product, a great home. The other thing to think about with properties, and the biggest thing is, are you going to purchase or are you going to lease? I'll probably go into this in another video, but just to give you an idea, if you have the money, purchasing is the way to go because you have a real estate play. You're going to pay down your mortgage. You're going to have this property that's going to gain value. So if you have the money, always purchase. If not, renting is a great option. The other benefit of renting is you will cash flow higher. Typically right now, mortgages are more a month than leasing, than paying rent. I have one property that's rented. I have one property that's purchased. And I will say that our rental property is in a more expensive area and our rent is $6,000 a month. And my mortgage, insurance, all that stuff put together for my other property is $7,000 a month. So the property with a lower monthly cost does cash flow more. All right, those are the first 3 steps I advise to anybody who's looking to open up their care home. I know it's a scary process. There's a lot of steps to it. The biggest advice I could have is take it step by step. If this is something you want to do, it's very doable. There's a lot of things that will come in your way and we'll touch on them in future videos. But, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Try to answer them. Leave a comment on stuff you might want me to talk about. And if you do want to connect, I do have a link in the Stan Store, stanstore.com/RummingInHisBeard. I'll put a link in my bio. We can always hop on a call. Would love to help. Shoot me an email, drop a comment, and I will see you guys on the next video.